to Family Tree Nuts. This video is to tell you who we are and what we do. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the genealogist and the founder of Family Tree Nuts. And for years, I kept hearing people say, I'd love to know about my ancestors, but I don't know how, I don't have the time, and I don't want to pay for those expensive membership fees. So in 2017, I founded Family Tree Nuts. Family Tree Nuts is a full-service history and genealogy service with nuts, some people would call them teammates, all over the country. First and foremost, our primary mission is to build family trees for clients. We do the research and build simple or detailed family trees and provide our clients with professionally written reports that are keepsakes forever. We have many different levels of our service plans to meet most needs or budgets. Our plans are listed on our website, and we can provide you with many different examples and testimonials. We also produce historic videos, and we make 3 different types of these videos. First, we make videos about historical people or places. Many of these are produced for historical and tourism organizations. Second, ancestor stories, which are with a client at a relevant location of an ancestor sharing their story. And third, life interviews, with elder family members documenting their lives. We make many of these videos on Facebook Live, so be on the lookout for those as well. Thanks for checking us out, and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let us know how we can help you with your history and genealogy needs. You can contact us at info@familytreenuts.org. And remember, Family Tree Nuts, let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree. Welcome to History Nuts. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the founder of Family Tree Nuts. At Family Tree Nuts, we build family trees for people, and we produce videos at historic locations and videos that help to honor your ancestors.
I'm Jameson Cable, founder of the Kentucky History Podcast, where we talk about anything Kentucky history, events, people. If it has to do with Kentucky, we're going to discuss it.
And we've teamed up together to bring you History Nuts.
History Nuts is a live show where we talk about, you guessed it, history.
Right. History seems to be less and less to people today, but we are trying to do everything we can to keep it alive.
Absolutely. History is a passion of ours for sure, but it connects to you. Russ, tell us about the best part of the show.
You can join in. You can comment and ask questions live.
We've got a great topic today, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode of
History Nuts. Okay, this has to be the weirdest intro to History Nuts that I've ever seen, right?
It definitely is, but I'm actually a little thankful that it went a little extra long there. I was able to retrieve my notes. We're good.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
we have the wrong video here. Now, right in the beginning, I better tell you guys that internet has been funky already. So if, in fact, that we get dropped, be looking for us because we'll be coming right back to finish up as soon as we can. It's been funky, hasn't it?
It has. Also, though, I believe we need to mention the important day, don't we?
Well, that's the day that we're today's date. So, oh.
No.
Well, thank you.
The question is, do you want me to sing now and or sing later and hold the audience now?
I'm not sure. You might run them off, I think. So
we'll save it. We'll save it for the end.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. That way they get a chance to tune off, because we got a pretty good show today. I'm real excited about it. March 4th, a day that's been absolutely huge in Kentucky history and those that are related to Kentucky. But before we get started, I think there's one more thing you wanted to let folks know. There was something you wanted to let folks know that we've had a mess here last few days here in Kentucky.
It has been wild in Kentucky. If Jordan could show the image there, that might be the easiest thing instead of me sitting here just reading it off my phone. Did you get the image, Jordan? Maybe not. Okay.
This
Well,
is
I'll read it
really
off my
live,
phone.
guys. Literally live. And there
No,
are
okay.
technicalities.
I just got the message. No. So as people probably know, in Eastern Kentucky, we've had a lot of snow, frozen ice, and then now there's been massive amounts of rain and flooding. And if you're in Kentucky, you've definitely heard, but if you're outside of Kentucky, you may not be as aware. But if you want to help, and I would highly encourage you to help, you can go to AppalachianKY.org to donate. Items that they need are 5-gallon buckets, bleach, sponges and towels, dust mask, work or plastic gloves, contractor garbage bags, liquid household cleaners, scrub brushes, dish soap, water pumps, propane, and bottled water, of course. And if you wanted to send stuff, you can mail stuff to Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, 420 Main Street, Hazard, Kentucky, 41701. I can post this picture onto the comments if you want to see it live that way. That might be easier. So I don't, because I might have messed something up and all that. So just so that to help out. I mean, it's some towns are just completely flooded. Water is starting to recede now, so that's a plus. But a lot of work to be done. And as far as I'm from Kentucky, so come help out Kentucky if you can. So we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's there's a couple places that we've actually filmed some videos before that you can't even get there. Where we were standing is completely underwater down there along the Kentucky River near Boonesboro. It's a daggone mess over there. I saw a picture of Halls on the River down there, and there's a guy in a kayak right there at the bar.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen that. It's pretty wild, I guess. I'm trying to figure out how to, there we go, put this photo into the chat. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, we can also
we'll try to do
at
that
the
later.
end. Yeah, we can post that in the comments there at the end. But hey, Don says he's watching. Teresa says, hey, y'all, what's going on, guys? But it's a neat little story here, a neat little show, I guess, about March the 4th. The main thing is that for 140 years, it was basically inauguration day for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing, and this is another reason that doing the show and other history stuff is so cool, because I didn't even know about this. Not until you brought it up did I know that this was as important of a day. And they celebrated this day for, 140 years?
Right. Yeah, 140
So what was so
years,
important about March 4th? What did they do on March 4th, man?
Well, because they knew that in 1976 on March 4th that there'd be this world-altering event that would take place.
Oh, the prophecy would be fulfilled, huh?
That's right. I don't know which one, but yeah, it's basically the first day of our own federal government too. March 4th of 1789. A lot of times people thought that was the birthday of the nation. March 4th, 1789. It's basically before our government went into effect. And a lot of people don't realize it. I mean, that's years after the Revolutionary War.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the holdup there? Why didn't they? I mean, didn't July 4th? What's the big deal? I thought that was independence.
Well, they had to fight over individual states' rights. And I mean, basically, there were 13 individual countries and things, and they had to kind of work out it took a long time for everybody to realize that they needed each other for more than just military protection kind of thing. So it very easily could have been 13 individual countries, very, very easily. And people thought of themselves as that for a long time anyway, to even after the Civil War. So make sure if your screen gets frozen due to the internet, Jameson, you're not making a funny face. It froze there for a second, and you look like every time I do these when you do a live video out in the field, you don't get to choose what picture they use for the example, and it's always something goofy. Like, oh my gosh, that was on the screen for 10 seconds, and 10 minutes it was on what I wanted it to be on. It picks that for the thumbnail, but all right. So March 4th, 1811 was the very first day that Henry Clay was actually made a member of Congress. Began a lifetime career for Henry Clay over a good 3 decades. Who's Henry Clay?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a good old Kentucky boy, man. He is the, I guess, politician, if you want to say, top notch. If you want to talk about a historical politician, you're going to talk about Henry Clay, especially if you're talking about one from Kentucky. The Great Compromiser. I mean, he's got plenty of nicknames to go on with.
Yeah. Depends on which camp you're in. You know, he's a big rival
exactly.
of Andrew Jackson, so but, you know, depends on which camp you're in. But yeah, the Great Compromiser. What's that all about?
The nickname, where'd it come from?
Yeah.
Well, he orchestrated the Great Compromise. I think it was Missouri. I can't think of what the states were that were wanting to be. Was it Missouri becoming a state, or slavery being in the new states? All that.
Right. In order to bring a free state in, you had to bring a slave state in. You know, so he prevented the country from splitting or having war for quite some time. Unfortunately, it ended up being in vain in the long run, but it definitely was. He was a national hero. I think he ran for president unsuccessfully 4 times, too.
4 times, yeah. Yep. And as far as Kentucky goes, I mean, there's not, especially in the early 1800s, he really, kind of carried Kentucky to a way. I mean, Kentucky was a pretty big player in the national scene, mainly because of him and his power. And I mean, he was sworn into office and he became the Speaker of the House. I mean, that's quite impressive, I would have to say, in its own right to be that powerful that quick once he got into office.
You know what I find is interesting about him, though, is as influential as he was for such a long time period, there's very few people that even know who he is. You know, I mean, they got a high school named after him in Lexington. You know, but so many people, even in Kentucky.
Yeah, his oldest estate, Ashland, there is there in Kentucky or in Lexington too. It's still there. I mean, you can go visit it and tour it, and it's a really nice place. But yeah, not a lot of people. It goes right over the head, man. Not a lot of people know about him.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're trying to. It aggravates me, we're trying to keep it alive. I mean, he's been a politician, important politician in Washington for about as long as Mitch McConnell. But we better move on. So.
we won't get into that debate.
So move on there. And March the 4th of 1837, Georgetown's own Richard Mentor Johnson, Richard Johnson, was named the first vice president from Kentucky.
Yeah, and we're going to see this theme a little bit more, but like as I was saying, this is Henry Clay's time, and you got a Kentuckian who's the vice president. It's hard, but just in the national stage, Kentucky was a bit more prominent. I feel like during the first 1800 to 1850s, that sort of time period. And I would, piggyback on Henry Clay, kind of say he had a lot to do with it as well. But anyway, go ahead with Mr. Johnson.
Well, he was Martin Van Buren's vice president, and he's the only vice president that was actually appointed or elected by the Senate due to the 12th Amendment. He was unable to get the actual votes that he needed by the Electoral College that were, Electoral College is supposed to vote how they're supposed to vote. Well, the ones in Virginia voted for a guy in South Carolina. And so he didn't get the votes, so the Senate had to vote to make sure that he was the vice president. Do you know why that there was so much controversy as to making him the vice president?
I mean, 1837, so a lot of financial issues going on. What was it?
Well, he had a common law wife by the name of Julia Chin. Now, Julia Chin was what they call like an, I think, correct, I'm probably very much mispronouncing this, but an octoon. You ever heard of that? She was 1/8 African. She was a slave. She was one of his slaves. He didn't hide it at all. He kept her in the house just like she was his wife, and they had a couple of daughters, and he educated them, and it wasn't a secret, that the two of them were together. So that caused a lot of controversy for multiple reasons.
You would think so. You would think so. During that time, that would be a bit more of a controversy for sure.
Yeah. Well, besides the fact that she was a slave, or his own slave, but besides that fact, I mean, here he is, he's shacking up with a woman and has a couple of legitimate kids with him. So I always hear these people talk these days. This country is going to hell in a handbasket. Things are so jacked up right now, and I'm like, let me tell you something. It's always been jacked up. So
I'm probably going to keep being jacked up as well.
people are people, all the way back.
Yeah.
But he also was the man. He ran his campaign slogan that he was running over there was what was it? Lumpty Dumpty, Lumpty Dumpty, Richard Johnson killed Tecumseh. Yeah, so he supposedly shot and killed Tecumseh a couple of decades before that in the War of 1812. They're outside at the Battle of Thames. But I thought your man down the street from you killed Tecumseh.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I mean, William Whitley, man, that's who I give the credit to. Yeah,
isn't that wild to think that these are people that are very large in their communities, and more than one person is claiming to have been the guy that actually shot and killed Tecumseh. And if you don't know who Tecumseh, if you don't know who Tecumseh is, another show.
I was gonna say, that's kind of been the case with the people claiming to have killed Tecumseh, which I understand that would probably be an honorable thing, I guess, to lift you up. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's honorable but sad, and there's a lot of people that hold him in pretty high regard as being one heck of a human being, kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, and later on, his wife, or his common-law wife, she passed away, I think, of cholera during that cholera epidemic, and he got a relationship with another one of his slave women, and she chose another man besides him, and he sold her. So a lot of scandal going on right there. What another time these folks lived in. So
yeah.
So moving on to the third thing on March 4th of 1849, David Rice Atchison. He was from Lexington. He was voted president pro tempore. Am I pronouncing that right? My last great.
Tempore. I think you're right. Yeah, pro temp, or is it tempore? Pro tempore.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
That's how it works for me.
Tempore.
That works for me. I'm a history guy, I'm a Latin guy, but so what is that? You know what that is?
It's pretty much the line of secession, or not secession. Is that right? Secession? I said it right. Yeah.
Succession. I think. Yeah. Succession, not secession.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no. So the nowadays, of course, you have the president, you have the vice president, you have the Speaker of the House, and then is it Secretary of State now? Is that the next person in line after House of Representatives?
Secretary of State and then Speaker.
Secretary of State. I think Speaker's third, and then Secretary of State.
Okay.
And then I think. But anyway.
Yeah.
Back then, it was not so. It was not that way. It was president, vice president. What you just said, and I'm going to miss pro tempore of the Senate was a third person in line to succeed the president, if anything was happened. But there was a big little problem, not a big problem really, but a minor problem. What was going on March the 4th of 1849?
Well, March the 3rd, Polk was out. President Polk administration was on his way out, and March the 4th, new President Zachary Taylor was supposed to take office, but
he said no, not on a Sunday.
Not on a Sunday. Not on a Sunday.
Not on a Sunday.
Right.
I'm not going to be sworn in as the president on a Sunday.
Yeah. The last guy, these guys going out or he's shacking up with his baby mama. And this guy here, he must have ran on the high morals, I guess, Zachary Taylor. He wasn't even going to take the oath on preaching day. So
yeah, so the previous president's term was going to end at 12 noon. Zachary Taylor was supposed to be sworn in at 12 noon, but decided not going to do it on Sunday. We'll do it on the 5th. So for a day, who's the president? Who's running the show?
Yeah, 24 hours. A local Lexington kid, Transylvania University grad. He's president for 24 hours. I think he said that he slept through most of his presidency. That's what he said. He had a quote. He said, he calls no woman or child to shed a tear by removing anyone from office during his 24-hour administration. So
there you go. One of the most successful presidents ever.
Yeah, right. No doubt. And he was the youngest, too. He's only 41 years old. He's only 41 years old when he did that. So that's pretty cool. The next thing that happened on March 4th, 1857, we're up to 1857 now, John Cable Breckinridge, who was also from Lexington and a Transylvania University grad, he became the second Kentuckian to become vice president.
There you go. Once again, I'm going to play the Henry Clay effect, man. Kentucky was a big player during this time.
Well, there's a whole lot less states, so a little smaller pond.
Hey, easy. It's not. They weren't digging the bottom of the barrel.
4 electoral votes or whatever we got there. We got a little less than 4 million bodies in the country and the whole state. But hey, I like it. It's a hidden gem. I hope these people don't find out about how nice it is here. So everybody will want to come here. But he was only 35 years old, and he was the first. He was the youngest person to ever serve as vice president. Imagine that, 35 years old, make it all the way up to that position.
Yeah.
And later on,
he was.
Go ahead.
I was going to say he was a pretty big player also in the Civil War, and all this kind of in a way this was all building up to the Civil War of Breckinridge. So,
in 1860 he ran for president, and he lost to his cousin's husband. Mary Todd Lincoln was a little bit of a distant cousin to him, and they lost to Lincoln, and he decided to be a good unionist, didn't he?
At first, I guess.
Yeah, for a little bit.
A little bit, but then that ended really quick. So.
Yeah, he ends up being sworn in. I think, it was later on in 1865. He was sworn in as the Secretary of War for the Confederacy. And within days of taking office, he was pushing President Jefferson Davis to surrender. The cause is hopeless, bud. You've got to go ahead and shut this thing down here. So, but he's very instrumental in that. But definitely has that tie to March 4th.
Yes, and had many battles in Kentucky and around places. But like you said, really trying to get Jefferson Davis to say, "Hey, man, this is over. Let's time to throw in the towel." But I was going to mention, give us comments of where you're at and where you're watching from. I don't know if we said that at the beginning, but let us know.
Yeah, well, right here in the middle too. We always say this at the end, but make sure you guys check out both the Kentucky History Podcast and Family Tree Nuts' YouTube channels. You'll find these videos and a whole lot of other videos that the team at Family Tree Nuts and Jameson's put out. We're constantly putting out content pretty much on a daily basis. Between the two of us here, we're probably putting out stuff, 8 out of 10 days, maybe more kind of thing. So if you like history, make sure you check those out and you can access them anytime. So, all right. So the next thing on the list, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, quick break coming up.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Stay with us, yeah. Couple more. We got 3.
Silas Harlan was born on March 17, 1753, on Harlan's Run in Berkeley County, West Virginia, to George and Ann Hurst Harlan. At the time of his birth, Harlan's Run was part of Virginia. Not much is known about Silas's youth. At the age of 21, he headed west. He came to Kentucky with James Harrod in 1774, where they settled the first European settlement in the area, Harrodstown, later known as Harrodsburg. He was a scout, hunter, and moved up to the rank of major of the militia. He was a member of the defense of the West Fincastle. During the first years of settlement, Kentucky was being pulled in two directions. One, to be an independent state, which was being pushed by Richard Henderson and his Transylvania Company, and the other direction was to be part of Virginia, which is the side Harlan supported. In 1777, Harlan joined James Harrod and a group of others, which included Simon Kenton, on a trip to pick up gunpowder at 3 Islands, present-day Lewis County. And then they returned to Fort Harrod, where the supplies would be delivered to Kentucky settlers to fight against the British in the Revolutionary War. Silas built Harlan Station near Danville in 1778. With the help of his brother James and Uncle Jacob, they built a log stockade. Over the years, Harlan fought in many battles and was a well-respected military soldier and officer. He served under George Rogers Clark during the campaign against British forts in Illinois. He commanded a company in John Bowman's raid on Old Chillicothe. He assisted Clark in establishing Fort Jefferson on the Ohio River. He died on August 19, 1782, leading his party at the Battle of Blue Licks, which was one of the last battles of the American Revolutionary War. At this time, he was engaged to Sarah Caldwell, who went on to marry his brother, James, and was the grandfather of U.S. Supreme Court Justice John Marshall Harlan, which would be Silas Harlan's great-nephew. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Silas Harlan. He was a well-respected man who was influential in Kentucky's founding in many different ways. His life was cut short, with it ending in the conflict of war. The town of Harlan and Harlan County are named after Silas Harlan. Don't forget to try out audibletrial.com/kyhistorypod to get a free book of your choosing. Like, subscribe, and share this video in the Kentucky History channel for more Kentucky history content. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/kyhistorypod. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at kyhistorypod and Instagram at Kentucky History Podcast. And don't forget to check out the Kentucky History Podcast for more in-depth history of Kentucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Wow, that was a good one, man. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thank you. Silas Harlan, man.
These county videos, yeah, because I've been that kind of guy. I'm always asking, how'd that county get its name, kind of thing. And it's, Wikipedia will give you a sentence or two, but that's good. I really enjoyed it. Sure. Yeah.
We've got about 23 so far, out of 120. So we're not really close yet, but getting there.
Right. That's
cool.
Good material there for sure. So, yeah, man. And those are the type of videos that they've got on your YouTube channel. So make sure you check those out. But and next thing on the list, March 4th, 1857, Jefferson Davis.
Kentucky boy.
Took his office as a Mississippi senator. I was going to say that. Like, why are we talking about Jefferson Davis in Mississippi and stuff like that? Because he was born and reared there in Western Kentucky.
I would bet most people didn't. Yeah, I would bet most people does not connect him to being a Mississippi senator. They would probably assume that he was a Kentucky senator and all that, but nope, old Mississippi.
Yeah,
had to go south.
Yeah, definitely. I know his family moved back down there. But he was also go ahead.
I was going to say, have you been to the Jefferson Davis monument in Western Kentucky? Todd County, I believe.
Not yet.
No.
On the list.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't open whenever I was there, but it kind of just pops out of nowhere. It's pretty neat place though. I would recommend going and seeing it, of course, just like any other cool historical place. But yeah. Anyway,
that's actually one that I haven't been to. Western Kentucky is definitely an area that kind of gets overlooked so often in history there. But well, he gets sworn in as a senator, and he's actually a Transy University grad also there in Lexington, also a graduate of West Point. A lot of people don't know that he helped out the town drunk King Solomon bury dead people during the cholera.
That's right.
Did a lot of good stuff, and he's known obviously for being the president of the Confederate States of America. But a lot of people don't realize he was very instrumental. He was a Secretary of War, I think, and he was very instrumental in to revamping the United States Capitol, like the big dome that we see there, and the statue on top of that. That's all Jeff Davis is doing. And
yep.
Well, at completion, you know where Jefferson Davis was when they put the statue on top of the Capitol there. You know where Jefferson Davis was at that moment? He's the one that ordered it all and instrumented it all and ran all that.
Was he maybe in the jail? I was gonna
say,
was he not?
Kind of thing. For obvious treasonous reasons, you know.
I wonder if they brought him up and say, "Hey, man, you see that there?" Then put him back.
Yeah, and that's I bring that story up because how many times during the week do we see the United States Capitol building, either on the news or in passing or something like that?
Yeah.
But you don't realize, hey, the guy that helped coordinate that was Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
Before session, of course. But
question for you, and this is one that I didn't know. How long did he stay in jail?
That I don't know for sure.
That's a good question to ask. I was just thinking about that. I was like, I don't know how long he was in there. I know he was eventually out and all that, but I just wondered. Good little fact to know if you ever stumble
I'm totally guessing, man. I'm totally guessing. I'm guessing like 2 months, So some of that stuff is kind of what do you call going through the motions, in order for a quick healing, they had to, guys, gain amnesty and things. So, all right. Next one, March 4th, 1861 was the adoption of the Stars and Bars, the Confederate flag. What does that have to do with Kentucky?
Well, there was this fella, and I'm going to pronounce his name. I'm going to try to, all right? Nicola Marshall?
Yeah.
Marshall?
Yeah.
All right. He came from Germany. All right. And he came over to America, and he designed the flag, the Confederate flag, and the uniforms. So there you have it. Now, I don't know where he got his uniform design from, but it's very gray.
I've studied before that. I think they were modeled after the Austrian uniform, believe it or not, because he had grown up in Germany and
that
things.
That would make sense. Yeah,
he got that design. That's one of the. He's actually buried. Well, get ahead of myself there. He came in 1949 and taught art. He lived in the South. I believe he lived in Mobile, if I'm not mistaken, Alabama, such. But he actually served as a private in the Confederacy, and he got out. He was a portrait painter. When the war was over, I think in 1871, they moved to Louisville, and they moved up there because a whole lot of people there wasn't a whole lot of money to have their portraits made, and that was an expensive commission to have done. Imagine paying a talented person a couple weeks to a month's worth of money to paint your portrait. But that's his Kentucky connection. He's buried there in Cave Hill in Louisville. So on the list, we've got we're going to be shooting at his grave here within the next few weeks. It's already planned out for that. But so that was interesting, that the guy that designed the Confederate flag, and I'm not talking about that battle flag you guys are used to seeing, that rebel flag, that Confederate flag. I'm talking the original Confederate flag, that the Stars and Bars is a little bit different flag.
I do get a comment here. Michael Andrew says hello, and he's an admin on the First Families of Kentucky. So I just want to say thanks for letting me and you both post our stuff in that group. It's a pretty good group.
Yeah. What a cool page that is, isn't it?
So if you want some Kentucky history, go check it out. Just searching on the old Facebook.
Yeah, there's tons of good stuff on there. The First Families, that I think it's got the picture has them coming through the gap there kind of thing.
That's the one.
Yeah, that picture's there at Cumberland, down at the Cumberland Gap Park down there upstairs. It's great pics to get a picture made. So, but last thing on the list for March 4th. March 4th of 1861 and March 4th of 1865. You know what happened on those days?
Oh, Abraham Lincoln, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. He was sworn in as president both those times. So,
of course, he's a native Kentuckian. He's claimed by three different states.
But, yeah, true.
Definitely.
But he was born here.
Right.
So we get the rightful claim.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely. He never, in both elections, he never carried Kentucky, and it wasn't even close. Never carried his own native state there. But I think the second time, I think he got a third of the vote.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the Democrat that won the second time. I cannot think of his name right off. I had it earlier. I read it. I know, but I cannot think of it. But that's who won the state. But
sure,
you know what would be interesting, and I'm sure it's out there. I've just never dove into it. Was just how the election of that year went, because half the states are in the South. How did it all go?
I think there was 40,000 less votes in Kentucky that year than there was in 1861. People were considering themselves, Kentucky was a Southern state. It was in the Confederate States of America. So very strange times.
Yeah.
Very strange, unprecedented times. Very scary times of uncertainty and things like that. So if there was ever a time that was compared to the uncertainty of the last year or so, it'd definitely be then, for sure. So, just 36 days, though, after he took office the second time, Robert E. Lee surrendered, and then just 5 days later, he was shot and killed. So his full legacy's not out there. But that's as far as I know about March 4th in Kentucky. I know we could find lots of other things. You always can, but those are some pretty major events that all happen on March 4th.
And I just want to point out again, all those people from Kentucky, big players in the national scene, big players. The days.
Just like Mitch McConnell.
Easy.
Did you vote for Mitch?
I bleed. What is the fifth? I bleed the fifth.
Yeah, sure. No matter what you say, you'll be wrong half the time. So best to leave those.
Exactly.
I never post anything in my own personal politics on my Facebook or anything like that. Those that know me personally will know which way that I lean, but it's no sense in ostracizing half of everybody, right? So
that is sound advice. I honestly think if no one posted any of their views, it would be a much peaceful place.
It would, because the reality is, all right. I'm going to say this. I've been saying it for weeks. I've lived my adult life under President Clinton, under President Bush, under President Obama, and Trump, and now Biden. And my life's pretty daggone close to the same as it was, no matter who was the president. So they get you wired up there who to vote for. And I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying that to 99% of us, things are pretty daggone similar. So no matter who's the person in charge, that's the beauty of our country, is that the president's not a king. Anyway, we are getting way off of.
Anyway, it's your birthday, man. It's your birthday.
Yeah. Don says, wasn't Kentucky neutral until the Confederates came over and had a attack, and then they went Union.
Martial law, all that stuff. Yep, all came in. Was it Burbridge? Butcher Burbridge was put in charge. Pretty interesting stuff. Sue Mundy was running around. Well, it's a little teaser for an episode here in the future coming up.
Yeah, early April, right? So
yeah. So
definitely a unique guy. So next week, Hey, that'll do it for March 4th. But next week, I think we've got, aren't we doing Dr. Thomas Walker?
Yep. Came over here, came through my stomping grounds of Old Rock Castle. Lincoln County paved the way, I guess you could say.
In 1750. 1750. 1775 was Boone. So, and Boonesboro and all that. So I know Boone came in 1769, but these guys were here a whole generation ahead into Kentucky. That's really cool stuff right there. Dr. Thomas Walker built the first cabin there in Kentucky down there. It's in modern day Knox County outside of Barville. So
Barville,
yeah, man.
Barville. So, you said it right.
Barberville. Yeah. Barberville or Barville. You gotta. I don't know. Put a piece of bread
in your mouth when you say it.
Barberville. So, Barberville. Anyway, all right. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Jameson?
Again, I'll post that picture or the information about donating to Eastern Kentucky, all the flood stuff going on. And again, like and subscribe to the old Facebook. Hey, another happy news. Facebook page hit 1,000 followers or likes and all that. So let's keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I'm halfway to 90. So my goal is 100. So I'm not halfway there yet. So not halfway to my halfway goal. So, but yeah, man, good deal. So I guess we'll get out of here and we'll see you guys next week. And hey, remember, family tree nuts. Let our nuts fund the nuts in your family tree.
So you've built your family tree and made a ton of amazing discoveries. What a fulfilling experience it is to breathe life back into them. But what are you going to do with all the information that you found? Are you going to let it sit on some computer or some website? Maybe hand off stacks of papers and binders that you have to some relative that may be interested but maybe not be able to make heads or tails of the research that you've done. Let us help honor your ancestors in video. At Family Tree Nuts, we make videos with you at the location of relevance to your ancestors, such as their gravesite, their homes, land, or other location pertaining to them. You tell their story in your words, documenting them forever. The professionally produced videos are published on our YouTube page where they are easily shared with your family members. The videos are also searchable and will be able to be seen for centuries by your descendants. Imagine being able to see a video of one of your ancestors. Well, your descendants are going to be able to do just that. And we have tons of examples that we can share with you. These videos are fun to make, and we can make many of them in just a single day. Don't let those amazing discoveries that you found slip back away into the darkness. Let us help you honor them by, in a sense, keeping them alive forever. Contact us for details.